Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today I'm going to be talking about the SPFBO Round 8 books that I am interested in reading. So first, if you don't know what the SPFBO is, it stands for Self-Published Fantasy Blog Off, and essentially it's 300 books that are entered, and there are 10 judges that have like multiple people with them reading about 25 to 30 books in each group or each like judge selection, and there's only one winner. So I'm gonna read the mission statement from the website. This is all hosted by Mark Lawrence, who has his own books. He wrote the Red Sisters series and other books, but he has hosted this now. This is the 8th year, I believe, and this is the first year that I've just learned about it, so I'm just really excited to see what it's all about and check out some self-published fantasy books that I otherwise wouldn't have checked out without finding the SPFBO. So the mission statement says the SPFBO exists to shine a light on self-published fantasy. It exists to find excellent books that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. It exists to help readers select from the enormous range of options, books that have a better chance of entertaining them than a random choice, thereby increasing reader faith in finding a quality self-published read. So, like, the first phase, the judges will go through, like, the slush pile of novels allocated to them, the 25 to 30 books, and they will find the one title they will be putting through to the final. They'll review that chosen title, and then they'll select their 3 favorite covers also for the cover art contest, in which they will later vote, which they've already done. In phase 2, that takes 6 months. The first one takes 5. It says the blogs read and score all 9 finalists from the other blogs. They review their favorite, and then they review the winner. So essentially, that's what they're doing. They're just taking these 300 self-published titles, and they're going through them to find the ones that they believe are the best, and only coming out with one winner, but there are usually a bunch of semi-finalists that people also think are the best out of their pile. I hope I said that all right, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you what who this year's judges are. So we have Fantasy Faction, Fantasy Book Critic, Lynn's Books, and the Critiquing Chemist. Those 2 are together. Book Nest, the Weatherwax Report, the Fantasy Inn, Becky M, Before We Go Blog, Queen's Book Asylum, and Bookborn. So those are all 10 of the judges that each have about pretty much 30 books each, I think. So each judge usually gets about 30 books, and originally I had the idea from, I can't remember what his name is. Oh no. I will leave his link down below, but he is also gonna try to read 30 books, and I really tried to narrow it down to 30, but I just couldn't. The best I could get was 42. Yes, you heard that right, 42 books, but I am so excited to get to them. I have already gotten to 3 of them, so I'm making a little dent, but I'm gonna go through each of these books. I am going to read the synopsis for each of them. That way I can help push these titles to people who otherwise might not know about them either. And yeah, so let's get into it. I will tell you the title, the name, and then I'll read the synopsis, and we'll just keep doing that till I get to the very last book. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is The Hunter by Hannah E. Carey. This is book 1 in the Tales of Pern Cohen Bloodlines book. So this one says, forced to flee her uncle's palace in the dead of night in order to save her own life, Duchess Rhiannon of Solus finds herself pulled into an ongoing war. She seeks safety on the shores of the island of Pern Cohen, though she knows little of the strange land and its even stranger spirits. A stroke of fate leaves her at the mercy of a band of rebels led by a notorious outlaw, a man the people of the island call the Hunter. Connor has lost his family and his home. Forced to live in exile, he dreams of the day that the people of Pern Cohen will win back their freedom. He has no love for the empire of Kelnor, but when he finds an injured Kelnorian noblewoman, he can't bring himself to abandon her. Against his better judgment, Connor offers Rhiannon his protection, but the more time he spends with her, the more he finds his feelings toward her shifting. He's already had his heart shattered once. Does he dare take the risk again with a woman who should be his sworn enemy? The longer Rhiannon spends with Connor and his band of outlaws, the more she finds herself torn between the life she knew and the life she has discovered on the island. Can she turn her back on all she's ever known, and can a rugged outlaw capture her heart? So this is a Celtic-inspired romantic fantasy, which features a slow burn and fade to black romance. So what caught me was the fantasy romance. That was why I really wanted to try this one out. And the synopsis sounds really good. And it says it's about 250 pages according to Amazon. So I am really excited to get to this one. Next, we have The Blood of Outcasts by D.A. Smith. A clan destroyed, a pact with a beast. A warrior will spill her own cursed blood for vengeance. Masako escaped the Lord Council with only her life intact, her clan shattered, and a master dead in wake of a disaster she wrought. It is her cursed blood that opens a gate it shouldn't. A demigod answers. By the power in her blood and a promise made with it, she's given a second chance. With it, she must unite the outer clans, move past old rivalries, and worse, or face annihilation at the hands of a foreign sect of sorcerers, the Talsi Soshis, I'm so sorry, and their silent invasion. Only, Masako is executed. She's meant to be dead. Demonic rumors and a destructive past sow doubt in her campaign before it is begun. So, we've got someone who's supposed to be dead. I don't know if she's dead or not, but she wants vengeance, and based on the cover, it looks like we've got some Asian-inspired fantasy going on here. So I'm really excited for this one. Can't wait to get to all these, so you're gonna hear me say I can't wait to get to them. I'm really excited for them because I am. I'm just so excited for these books. Next, we have Hazelhearth Hires Heroes by D.H. Wilson. Welcome to Hazelhearth. Our picturesque city is nestled in a tranquil corner of the empire. Fitness lovers enjoy vigorous nature walks in the surrounding forest. Don't forget your sword. Foodies savor rich, robust walnut-based cuisine, or visit the Gnome Quarter for a walk on the wild side. Local mines and orchards beckon with plentiful employment opportunities, while workers sleep safe, knowing that stout city walls keep mythic monsters at bay. A select few may even be chosen for exciting quest opportunities. The onslaught of subterranean hordes? Oh, that's happening miles away, and the elves have it completely under control. How could Sam and Lee say no? Lee is bored to tears as a telegrapher. His only excitement in life is a revolutionary new board game he's creating. And of course, constant disruptions at work by Sam, whose high-voltage experiments wreak havoc with nearby electric systems. These two best buddies, colleagues, acquaintances, are ready to escape from 19th century America into a more exciting world. I am really excited about this one. The cover makes it look like it's going to be really fun, and I'm thinking I'll probably get in a few laughs, and I think it's going to be more like a D&D kind of type thing, maybe a portal fantasy, or I don't know. I'm just really intrigued by it. It sounds so good. Moving on, we have Fire of the Forebears by L.A. Buck. Pitted against one another with the people and country they love in jeopardy, the daughter of a deserter and the son of the king have a chance to fulfill their forebears' legacy or destroy it entirely. Twisted monsters called Saja lurk in the shadows of the mountains. Rumors say the human welders of an ancient elemental magic again walk the plains. Not all in Averon believe, and not all welcome the return of legend. Kura is a skeptic, but she'll cross and befriend centaurs, talking animals, and worse, to save her family after the rebellion mistakes her for the land's prophesied savior. And while he'd rather negotiate with rebels than fight them, Tristan can't ignore prophecy. That was the sham his father used to steal the crown in the first place. Over a century ago, their ancestors sailed the oceans in search of peace and died as heroes fighting for it. But heroes and villains aren't always what they seem to be. So I love that we have a prophesized savior, one of my favorite tropes, which I can usually find in tons of books. And I also love that it says that this prophecy, there was a prophecy that his father used to sham the kingdom, to steal the crown. So that's going to be interesting to learn more about. And I can't wait to see these two characters like come against each other. So next I will be talking about Sekhmet by Grace J. Roberts. says, what do you do when dreams become nightmares and nightmares become reality? Ayana just wants a normal life. A life-threatening accident as a child has left her with a mysterious, unwanted power, but at last she seems to be getting close to her goal. She's earned a place at university. Things are looking up, right? Nick isn't sure he's cut out for this paranormal existence anymore. With 2 successive jobs having gone sideways, he's having second thoughts. But when an old friend asks for a favor, he can't say no. Keeping an eye on a first-year student at Cambridge doesn't sound that dangerous. What could go wrong? Ayana and Nick both reckoned without sinister forces who want Ayana and who want Nick out of the way permanently. On the run, they have to find a way to work together against enemies who are far more personal than either of them suspects, or risk bringing about the end of the world. And it says for fans of Dresden Files and Percy Jackson will love the series. I don't love the cover of this one, but I do like the Percy Jackson vibes I feel like I'm getting from it, and I can't wait to see if those aspects of Percy Jackson that I love are also in this one. Next I have Troupe of Shadows by Jennings Zabrinsky. This one says, once the heir to an empire, now just a shadow, throne stolen by her traitorous brother, chased to the edge of the world, Selene has only a blade, a talent for slaughter, and 4 elite blade dancer bodyguards to her name. Where once she lived a life full of courtly duels, decadence, and intrigue, she now finds herself trudging through a wild and desolate frontier populated by pioneers and warlords. One day, Selene will reclaim her birthright, but she has more immediate problems. The food has run out, shelter is scarce, and her followers are on the verge of mutiny. She can't even communicate with the strange inhabitants of this alien land, the so-called humans who wield guns, wear shoes, and seem completely incapable of shifting the color of their skin to disappear into their surroundings. It seems certain that an obscure and meaningless death lies in her near future, but when she captures Copper, a down-on-his-luck human mercenary who happens to speak her language, she seizes a razor-thin opportunity to reverse her fortunes. She has the bladecraft, he claims to have the connections, and the frontier will never have enough mercenaries. Selene and her band will kill for gold, gather soldiers and power, and begin to build a new empire amongst the waste. But can her new ally be trusted? Can her old allies? Will her dysfunctional troupe tear itself apart before they've earned a single coin? It says it's a dark fantasy novel with a focus on fiery interpersonal conflict and gritty action. It draws inspiration from Wild West and classic high fantasy stories in equal measure. I'm really excited because I do like Wild West stories, if they're done right, I guess I should say. I haven't read that many of them, so I guess I can't really say much, but this is interesting to me. I can't wait to see all these people come together and, like, just see this girl try and get back what she wants. So, excited for that one. Sorry if I'm looking down a lot. I'm reading the synopsis on my computer, on my Kindle, so mostly I'm going to be looking down for this video. Next, I have The Soul Trade, Judas Investigations, Book 1 by Edward Rose. When you're the one and only private eye in purgatory, no case is going to be easy, but when a lost young woman walks through Patrick Judas's door, things take an even more dangerous turn than normal. The city he calls home might be full of the worst people north of hell, but there have always been rules. Live a good life this time around, and your final journey in the great elevator might take you to a better place. Live a bad one, and, well, you get the idea. But now someone is breaking those rules, switching the fates of decent people with the worst scum in the city, and Judas's new client seems to be caught up in the middle of it all. With only his wits, a foul-mouthed cat, and the help of the scariest receptionist in the universe, Judas will have to risk everything to save the city he hates. I love this. I like the cat. I like the scary receptionist, and this one just sounds so neat, and I think by the cover, it looks like it might take place in New York City, and I love New York City setting because there's so much you could do with it. Next, I'm going to be talking about Raven Reawakening by Mitchell Hogan. This is book 1 in the Demonic Design series. A woman transformed by the blood of demons, deadly beyond reckoning. Raven was once a member of the Grim Hand, a group of demonically altered assassins, until she staged her own death and began a new life free from brutality and murder. But some secrets refuse to stay buried, and the past is reluctant to loosen its grip on those who hide from it. When faceless assassins strike, Raven must return to a world of intrigue and violence, if only to save herself. Alone, trapped, and fighting a vengeful enemy that easily outmatches even Raven's demon hybrid ability, she is forced to seek help from the man she once loved, a man with a revelation that will shake Raven to the core and change her world forever. I was drawn in by the fact that this woman was transformed by the blood of demons. Say no more. And then we've got the Grim Hand, which is a group of demonically altered assassins. Nothing else was needed after that. I was hooked. So the next book I want to talk about is Kingdom of Essence by Holly Carlson. To survive here, you either grow wings or claws. Elitsa Serlov only cares about two things: earning enough money to start a new life and finding the rogue mage who murdered her mother. But years without leads have left her jaded, and she won't let anyone, friend or foe, get in her way. In Kaskrea, anyone can use magic if they're desperate enough to rent relics from the tower, a corrupt guild of mages more concerned with their own wealth than the welfare of the people. Elitsa has spent the last 3 years as a reclamation agent for the guild, hunting down her own people for precious coin in the hope of uncovering what happened to her mother. Just 1 week before her contract with the tower is set to expire, Elitsa is coerced into a dangerous conspiracy by a gang of rebellious thieves. With her loyalty to the tower in question, Elitsa must decide between her quest for revenge and charting a new course for her life. With captivating characters, daring heists, and dangerous magic, this enchanting fantasy adventure spins a tale about the power of hope and friendship and our connection to the world around us. So it sounds like there's going to be some kind of like mystery as to what happened to her mother, and then she gets into this dangerous conspiracy by a gang of rebellions. And then of course we've got the tower, and like that's just, sign me up, sounds great, cover's beautiful. Next, I want to talk about The Fangs of War, which is book 1 in the Blood and Steel saga, and this is by E.J. Doble. I've been hearing a lot about this recently, so I have high expectations for this one. It says, after the brutal execution of Province's king by the roving forces of Taraz, a new military government vaults into power with the nefarious Alvarez at the helm. Hell-bent on bloodshed and the glory of imperial past, he amasses the largest army seen in a generation and plunges the two nations into a bloody war against the will of the god-like being known as the All-Mother. Ooh. Kavara, a general of the army at odds with her superiors over the war, is ground under the heel of the scheming commander, Revik, and betrayed by her own people, left for dead on a distant shoreline. Saved by a passing ship and taken to the other end of the world, she is plagued by visions of a white void and a figure known as the Shadow Woman, who begins to unravel the true nature of the war, a conflict not only of men, but also of gods alike. So this just sounds great, tons of war and politics going on, and we're following, it looks like 2 different characters, and the cover is really beautiful. Most of these, the cover is beautiful. I am always drawn to beautiful covers, so that's why most of these are beautiful covers, but some of them are also because the contents sound really good inside. Next, I have the biggest book on this TBR coming in at 1,054 pages, and that is We Break Immortals, the book 1 in the Advent Lumina cycle by Thomas Howard Riley. A drug addict who hunts sorcerers down by tracking their magic, the most renowned swordsman no one has ever heard of, and a thieving magic-wielding woman hell-bent on revenge collide during a last-ditch effort to stop an insane superhuman serial killer from making himself a god. Wow. The wise run from them. Swords are useless against them. Only the fearless dare pursue them. So I think I'm going to stop there. I don't want to go into it knowing too much. I am hopeful that since this one is so long, that the characters will be fleshed out, the world building will be great, and the plot will be amazing too. So I have very high hopes for this one, and it better be good because it is 1,000 pages long. I can't believe it. Longest book I will have ever read. Okay, so the next book I want to talk about is The 13th Zodiac, and that is by Lacey Crouch. So it says, running from his past finally catches up to Jace Rayon. I'm sorry if I butcher any of these names. An ex-member of the Ashen Guard and the Crown Prince of Chal. After settling on the island of Aria, he receives an unexpected contract. The lost princess of Aria was discovered living in the port town of Brighton on the outskirts of the island kingdom. A trip to the markets in Brighton ends abruptly as Laia Faraway stumbles into Jace. She vanishes in the busy marketplace when Jace realizes who she is, the lost princess of Aria and the bearer of the 13th Zodiac, Eternity, and his target. Something ancient pulls them together, a bond that neither can deny. Reluctantly at first, Jace joins Laia and the other Zodiac to end the threat of Soren Raon, the king of Trawl. Time is not on their side, and fate has other plans. So this sounds really good. There is longer synopsis under it, but I'm not going to go into that. This one pretty much sums it up, I think, and I'm just really excited to get to this because I am just so interested in zodiac signs and like fate and time and eternity, so like just all that stuff sounds so amazing. Next, I have The Blood of Crows by Alex Pierce. Ren is a thief and a con man. You want something stolen, big or small, he'll get it, no matter how well it's protected, all while being the only person in the city without any magical knack. There's just one rule: he doesn't kill people. Good rule. Murder is rare in the walled city of Lenmar, thanks to the magic-eating inquisitors that can sniff out and track any individual by their particular knack. So when a serial killer starts killing the nobility, leaving no trace for the inquisitors to follow, Ren becomes the prime and only suspect. All Ren wants to do is stop a serial killer, clear his name, and protect the people he cares about. To do that, he'll have to pull one more high-stakes heist and steal the proof he needs from the very people who want to catch him. This sounds so good. A con man with no magic, and he's like being set up for killing people, and you know, just serial killer, and so interested. I think I've been forgetting to tell you guys how many pages these are, but this one's 360 pages according to Amazon. Next, I have Memories of Blood and Shadow by Aaron S. Jones. I've heard some good things about this one, so I am very interested in it. It says, guilt cuts deeper than the deadliest of blades. Tavar Farwin lives alone past the undying sands. During a violent storm, he is attacked by two young warriors, claiming a need for vengeance, for pain from ages past. Tavar defends himself, killing one of the intruders and leaving the other to bleed on the floor. Weary and filled with regret, Tavar offers to tell a young man his story, a story of how, in a world of Navigings? Sorry, I don't know what that says. Leviathans and shadow warriors, a poor nomadic orphan rose to inspire a kingdom and kill a god. So this one's been kind of said like storytelling, like someone's telling their life story of how they got from the low to where they're at now, and like Name of the Wind, I guess. So this one's 608 pages, and I am really excited for this one because I've heard some good things about it. Next, I have Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons. This one just sounds so cute, and like even the title alone just sounds amazing. And this is by Quenby Olson. Miss Mildred Percy inherits a dragon. But we've already got ahead of ourselves. Miss Mildred Percy is a spinster. She does not dance, she has long stopped dreaming, and she certainly does not have adventures. That is, until her great uncle has the audacity to leave her an inheritance, one that includes a dragon's egg. I'll take one. If you don't want it, I'll take it. The egg, as eggs are wont to do, decides to hatch, and Miss Mildred Percy is suddenly thrust out of the role of spinster and general wallflower and into the unprecedented position of spinster and keeper of dragons. But England has not seen a dragon since, well, ever. And now Mildred must contend with raising a dragon that should not exist, kindling a romance with a humble vicar, and embarking on an adventure she never thought could be hers for the taking. I just love the sound of this. Sounds like it's going to be so cute, and there's even some romance in it, but I'm so interested about this dragon and how she's going to figure out how to take care of it and potentially hide it from people. So this one is definitely high up on my list of books I want to read from the SPFBO. Next is another one I've been hearing some good things about, and that is A King's Radiance, Book 1 of Bonds of Kin by L.R. Scholes. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. 3 siblings, a rebel, a prince, and a prisoner. The sunlight shines bright over the land of Zippor, and only a select few can harness its power. But all power comes with a cost, and the world is not kind to those who refuse to pay it. Rhys Glaive, a strong shine wielder, was born into royalty, though even royals have to answer to someone. When the King Radiant sends one of his precious underlings to the Kingdom of Trust, Rhys quickly learns who holds the true power in the realm. After his sister is taken prisoner simply for having the violet eyes of a mystic, Rhys swears vengeance, but when an unwilling father stands in his way, Rhys promises to take revenge into his own hands. Dazen Glaive remains heir to the throne of Trost and a sworn defender of the King Radiant, but he has not forgotten what happened to his sister and will not forgive their cruelty. Forced to be the centerpiece of her master's twisted human heart gallery, Isha remains a prisoner. Though she has not lost hope, finding her friends among fellow captives, she begins to formulate a plan for escape. though what she discovers has a much more sinister bearing on the fate of all of Zippor. Sounds so good. The cover is even catching my eye with the red and the person in the middle with the sword. Sounds so good. 3 siblings, a rebel, a prince, and a prisoner. Sign me up. Next we have You Can't Prevent a Prophecy by D.G. Red. An arrogant human warrior who thinks he's the chosen one. A halfling who thinks she's a master thief and wants to put big people in their place. A dwarven clerk desperately trying to get into heaven. All of them want the Eye of Era, a magical artifact spoken of in ancient prophecies. But prophecies are malleable things that can be bent to suit the needs of those with the knowledge and power to do so. This is a humorous fantasy novel. There are no continent-spanning quests. There is no reluctant hero who discovers a hidden talent. There is no love interest tugging at her braids or smoothing her skirts. This is a light-hearted adventure, and sometimes that's all you need, and I feel like this one will just be such a great palette cleanser. The cover is a little eye-catching. It's not the best that I've seen, but the colors are definitely doing something for me. Next I have Draconis, the first book in the Draconis Descendant saga. Magic is real. You just need the right crew to find it. Over a decade ago, Jalen Sear, cartographer, embarked on a mission to map the world on behalf of the Ursa Federation. He returned with most of his crew dead and 2 strange runestones. Stones that changed everything. With an eternal storm, Jalen had found a gateway to another world. Ooh. A world populated with horrifying monsters and broken tombs. A world of magic. These all sound so great. I just can't get over it. Now he is the leader of the Wayfarers, a mercenary troop dedicated to entering the portal and returning with new runestones. The Ursa Federation used the impossible magic of the runestones to cement themselves as the foremost world power, and the location of the rift is a closely guarded secret, one that many would kill for. I bet they would. With forces gathering to take control of the rift, Jalen and his adopted daughter, Sesha, must embark on the newly built Draconis to explore this new world once again. But with a large target on their heads, the days of the Wayfarers may be numbered. This sounds so good. Portal fantasy. I'm assuming there's going to be some dragons based on the cover and the title, and these little rune stones. Like, oh my god, it sounds so good. And it's 725 pages, so I will be able to savor it. The next book I have is Crown of Madness, Book 1 of the Grim Hunt series by Ryan G. Beatty. The Order of the Grim Hunt, a group dedicated to the hunting and slaying of monsters, work to preserve the world and its inhabitants from the creatures of the dark. But what happens when the people become worse than the monsters? That sounds great, and I could totally see it. Marcus, a professional monster slayer known as a Hexblade, a master of both sword and spell, finds himself caught in a war between nations, instigated by the manipulations of darker forces and a scheming sorceress. The affairs of men is something the Order of the Grim Hunt is supposed to remain impartial to, but how can he protect the world if it is left to destroy itself? As the fate of the continent hangs in the balance, it will be up to Marcus, a simple hunter of the supernatural, to keep 2 nations from collapsing into the flames of war. It will be his responsibility to restore balance and to serve justice by means of the sword. I am so excited for this one. It just sounds so different from the rest of the books on this list, and I'm just really excited for it. Next, I have the Warriors of Bhrea, and this is by T.M. Cole. She's trapped on another world with a strange voice in her head. What will it take to get back to Earth? Lauren Strauss wanted a normal life, but fate had another idea in mind. Plagued by bizarre dreams and questions about her family's past, Lauren hopes the day of her college graduation will lead her to getting answers. When she's caught up in a violent attack that rocks downtown Chicago, her mother arms her with a mysterious amulet, which she will soon realize has a mind of its own. Tearing her from Earth and dropping her in an alien place, it abandons Lauren and leaves her to navigate this new world by herself. With the help of a young warrior, she discovers the secrets of her past and a new destiny she must embrace. She will do anything to return home, but can she? Another portal fantasy, and I am just excited. I love portal fantasies too, not all the time, but I'm hoping that this one definitely hits the mark. So next is Waking Ursa Minor by Helen Rye Peterson. It says it is book 1 in the debut epic fantasy series. Reverta Rising by Helen Rye Peterson. Spanning different countries and cultures, it will take you on a journey of love and loss, the search for identity, and a thrilling fight for survival. That alone was enough. I don't want to know anything else. A few of these books I want to go into knowing hardly anything about because I think that adds to my reading experience, and this is one of those ones. Next we have Whispers of Ruin by J.D.L. Rozelle. An epic fantasy saga. It's book 1 in the Famine Cycle, and I know that this is also a well-loved author. A traitor of secrets, a king's demise before his time, the dragon god threatening to consume the world. In a city divided by schemes and treachery, Irene the Finch is a penniless commoner scraping a living through a trade in valuable secrets. Despite coming from a debt-ridden family, she has claimed a sliver of notoriety through her relentless ambition and ingenuity. But Irene has always yearned for more. She wishes to be a verifier of truth, part of an ancient order that uncovers corruption at the highest echelons of society. She longs to bring justice to an unjust world. So when her nation's figurehead ruler dies under suspicious circumstances, Irene seizes her opportunity. Her search for the truth behind the ruler's death will bring her into conflict with outlaw sorcerers, underground societies, corrupt politicians, and far deadlier dangers. Can Irene uncover the plot and stop the forces behind it, or will the price of victory be too high to pay? So good. I love that, she's gonna have conflict with outlaw sorcerers. Like, I don't know that I've ever heard that term before. Underground societies, one of my buzzwords, and corrupt politicians and far deadlier dangers. Sounds so good. Next I have Lightblade by Zamil Akhtar. I believe they are also the author of Gunmetal Gods. In 3 days, I'm gonna say Josh, I don't know if that's it, but Josh will slay the God Emperor or die trying. But first, he must train his Lightblade skills while asleep. Each hour sleep equals a day in lucid dream. Plenty of time to master the essential Lightblade techniques and hopefully get skilled enough to defeat the monster who enslaved him and beheaded his parents and sister. Ouch. When Josh awakens to learn that the God Emperor has surrendered to an even crueler foe, a mysterious Lightblade master who can summon divine dragons to burn whole cities, he'll face a trial by fire against forces far more frightening than he could ever dream. That is, if he's not still in one. Ooh, I just love that, like the lucid dreaming and Lightblade skills and like dragon and, evil, sounds so good. But the dreaming part, like training in your dreams, that just catches my attention, and it has a beautiful cover. Next I have The Crux of Eternity by Lane Trompeter. I love the cover for this one. It says, one must be saved, one must be broken, one must seek vengeance, and one must choose. Ooh. Sounds good already. Sounds like some high stakes. This epic fantasy series is set in a world shaped by select few masters of the natural elements, whose magic can control the fabric of reality. The visions of a long-forgotten queen, the master of time, foretell a crossroads in the future of humanity. Oblivious to their own significance, 4 strangers will dictate the fate of the world, and all life balances on the nice edge of their choices. A pariah in her homeland for being too pale and out of place elsewhere for being too dark, Kettle creates her own family amongst the dregs of society. A beggared after a fire consumed his surrogate mothers, Jace attempts a desperate theft which leads him to a mysterious benefactor and a life he never imagined. The princess of a continent-spanning kingdom, Ileana, is torn between her father's demands and a burgeoning love for both her childhood friend and the guardswoman who protects her. The power to shape thought and desire should be tempered by a moral compass, something Bastian lacks. After magic-hating zealots capture him, their demand in exchange for his freedom is simple: save the world. One decisive night will gather them all together under the same roof, where the flickering fires of life will continue to burn, or be extinguished forever. I love that. This little thing that's gonna bring these all together, and just one night is gonna pretty much define something. So I want to know what. Very interested. Next is A Gathering of Chaos by Cameron Hopkin. The world of Asunder is dying. Its gods are long fled, and they took all the world's metal with them, but it all happened so long ago that not even legends remained. In the now, a country girl sails into port, the only survivor of a plague ship, and a scheming priestess takes charge of her. Far to the south, an aging warrior monk forcibly recruits one of the beast riders to be his tracker. A remarkable vision of a demon lord binds them all together, and they scramble to find a bit of chaos, the raw energy of their world, to protect humanity against this new threat. It's too bad that they're only going to make things worse. That last line of it, that had me. That was it. I was like, I need to know how they're going to make this worse. I just need to know. Sounds so good. Next, I have Tethered Spirits, Book 1 of Curse of Shvala by T.A. Hernandez. A man with an unknown past. For years, Amar has traveled the Kavorian Empire, seeking a way to recover his lost memories and end the curse that plagues him. With support from loyal friends, Amar may finally be on the verge of finding answers, but to do so, he'll need to enlist the help of an unexpected guide. A girl afraid of her own powers. Kasari is a Tarja? Granted magical abilities through her bond with a spirit named Lucian. Haunted by past mistakes that have left her desperate to sever her bond, Kasari has her own reasons for agreeing to help Amar, but in doing so, she may finally have to face the fears she's carried ever since leaving home. A woman on a vital mission. Meanwhile, a young refugee named Alida is in hot pursuit, hoping the secret behind Amar's curse can save her brother from fatal illness. With so much at stake and little left to lose, Alida will stop at nothing to get what she wants. And when their paths collide, all three are set on a journey to unravel a mystery far deeper than they ever suspected. Honestly, I don't even know what to say at the end of any of these. They all just sound so good, and if you're not as hooked by these as I am, then I don't know what to tell you. This one also has a really pretty cover. So this next one is one of my favorite covers ever, and that is The Guardian of the Ward by Reginald Lewis. Just take a second to look at this beautiful cover and the little teddy bear holding the sword. Oh my god, I need to read this now. An empire in ruin after a great betrayal, an order of warrior souls infused in teddy bears and demons, monsters, and traitors around every corner. The world is filled with demons, monsters, and traitors. All things Earth, a legendary guardian and slayer of monsters, has sworn to battle. After a devastating fight, he discovers a mysterious gem and a plot that threatens him and all he holds dear. He must go on a journey to capture a smith forging mysterious artifacts before he loses everything. But the cast's fate doesn't solely rest in Earth's hands. A student struggles to find purpose in a deadly secret tournament. A scout must make the impossible decision between duty and family. And a spy master embarks on a quest to expose a conspiracy destined to annihilate the collapsing empire. A handful of individuals hold the fate of an empire in their hands. Will they succeed, or will caste crumble to dust? I just need to know more about these teddy bears. That's it. Everything else sounds great, but the teddy bears, I just need to know more. Next is The Lost Sentinel, Book 1 of Relics of Power, and this is by Emma L. Adams. They say the country of Zootan no longer has any need for heroes. Quests have been completed, the great powers have withdrawn from the world, and the sentinels who guarded the last relics are largely forgotten. Unlike their neighbors in the country of Aston, whose invokers wield the magic of the deities in exchange for glory and prestige, they leave the gods alone, and the gods extend the same courtesy to them. When Zootan's last sentinel disappears, Zell, her granddaughter, intends to track her down. Instead, she runs into an Estinian stranger with no memories of his past, who claims to be looking for a long-lost relic hidden in the mountains by the first sentinels. To Zell, the rumors of lost relics are just stories told to trick gullible travelers, but the hordes of enemies on the stranger's tale suggest otherwise. Armed with nothing but her grandmother's sentient and temperamental magical staff, Zell finds herself tasked with keeping them both alive. I need to know more about this magical, temperamental staff. I need to know more. Between monsters, beasts, magical storms, and an enthusiastic but inept aspiring assassin and her dragon sidekick, check. We're done. I don't need to know anymore. Zell has her work cut out if she wants to survive long enough to save her grandmother and prevent the destruction of a nation. Maybe Zootan is in need of a few heroes after all. Ooh, these books are giving me some kind of feels. Next, we have The Umbral Storm by Alec Hudson. It says, 1,000 years ago, the heart of the world was shattered, its fragments scattered across the lands. In the chaos that followed, martial orders arose to gather the shards, for it was found that great powers were granted when these pieces were bonded to the flesh of the chosen. These are the sharded few, warriors imbued with divine energies that once coursed through the heart, driven to absorb enough fragments to claim godhood. Darren has known nothing in his life except suffering. Orphaned at the edge of the realms, indentured to a cruel slaver, he has little hope of escaping his circumstances. But elsewhere, ancient powers are stirring. New alliances threaten the peace of the old order, and against all odds, Darren will find himself a player in a game unlike anything he could have imagined. Love it. The cover is actually drawing me in. I mean, is that like a snake dragon? Like, what is it? I don't know, but I am hooked. Next we have Beckoning of the Gate by Benjamin J. Ryan. I love this cover. The only life Santa Lathagan has ever known has become her prison. Vicious gossip is everywhere. Whispers of a scandal have turned the accusations of murder, and fingers are pointing her way. Feeling powerless and alone, she yearns for escape. When Santa stumbles upon a small rusted key in the forest near her home, it seems her silent pleas have been answered. Awakened by her touch, the key demands to be heard, and she is not the only one to heed its call. Thrust into the world only glimpsed in the stories of her childhood, of fairies and princes and eldritch magic, Santa sets out to unlock its secrets, but uncovering the truth has its own perils, and as the key's influence grows, she will be left with a choice, survival or sacrifice. But will it truly be hers to make? All the while in the north, something ancient stirs, a great power that could unravel the very threads of existence. Ooh, I want to know more about where she goes with the key. Like, I want to know more. Also, you know, what's happening in, what is it, north, south, whatever I just said. So this next one I have already read, and I will be doing a review of it later on, but I'm going to read you the synopsis. First, it's called A Bond of Thread, and this is by Allegra Pescatore and J.P. Brynison. Enter the 9 lands of the Mountainfell. Sky has only ever known pain and solitude since waking up with neither memories or magic. Hunted for being a ruler in time when they are scarce, she has survived in the wilds near the rim, always on the run from the rest of her kind. Only starvation could draw her close to a village, but when a chance encounter and a bit of bad luck launch her into the arms of a man whose soul is bounded to hers, hiding who she is may no longer be possible. Elias is a hunted man, wanted for killing the last High Queen of Vine. He is plagued by his past of wholesale slaughter. He never wanted another queen, and certainly not a half-feral, distrustful girl who gave up on the Fae a long time ago. Unfortunately, soul bonds are not so easily walked away from, no matter how hard they both may want to, especially when trapped together in a cave with a pack of feral Fae right outside. With long-held enmities breaking out between the besieged villagers and all their lives on the line, Elias and Sky must learn to work together and trust each other if they want to survive. I'm not going to say any more about it. I've already read it. You'll see my thoughts later on. Next, I have the 13th Hour, which is book 1 of the Cruel Gods. And this is by Trudy Skies. This says, when the saints fall, the sinners step up. Cruel gods rule the steam-powered city of Chime, demanding worship and tribute from their mortal subjects. Kale lost her faith in them long ago and now seeks to protect vulnerable and downtrodden mortals from their god's whims. But when Kale discovers powers that she didn't know she had and destroys a mortal soul by accident, she becomes Chime's most wanted. Quen's job was to pursue sinners until the vision started. Haunted by foreboding images of his beloved city's destruction, Quen hunts soul-sucking creatures made of aether who prey on its citizens, and Kale is his #1 target. To ensure Chime's future, Kale and Quen must discover the truth of Kale's divine abilities before the gods take matters into their own hands. For a city that bows to cruel gods, it'll take godless heathens to save it. Sounds so good, and it sounds so different from all the other ones I have picked out, and the cover is stunning. It caught my eye, and I knew that I was going to have to pick this one up. Next, I have Baker Thief by Claudie Arsenault, and by this cover, it looks like we might get some plus-size rep, so fingers crossed. Adele has only one goal, catch the purple-haired thief who broke into her home and stole her execore, thus proving herself to her new police team. Little does she know, her thief is also the local baker. Claire owns the croissant toy, but while her days are filled with pastries and customers, her nights are dedicated to stealing execores. These new red gems are heralded as the energy of the future, but she knows the truth. They are made of witches' souls. When her twin, a powerful witch and prime exocore material, disappears, Claire redoubles in her efforts to investigate. She keeps running into Adele, however, and whether or not she can save her sister might depend on their conflicted, unstable, but deepening relationship. So excited. We got some LGBT plus rep in here. I'm here for it. And a baker thief. Like, that sounds amazing. And I want to know more about these exocores and how they're made of witches' souls. That really sounds interesting and unique. Next, I have The Empire's Lion by Nathan Tudor. I just want to say that I heard that you should read the prequel that goes to this, Adept Initiate. You can get it by signing up to the author's, I don't even remember what it's called, newsletter, I think it is, and you'll get sent the first one for free by downloading it. So I highly recommend that. I haven't read that yet, but I will before I read this one. So, she left a slave, she returns a conqueror. As an adept, Riva blasts fire from her hands and leaps over walls. But when her first solo mission leaves her half dead amidst a heap of massacred allies, she gets just one chance at redemption. The Empire orders her to crush the one kingdom she thought she would never see again. Talanis, the land of her birth, the land she left in chains. Standing in her way is a wolf, a vicious assassin, hell-bent on killing adepts, and a single cut from his cursed blade will destroy Riva's magic forever. Even if she can survive, victory may come at a price too high to pay. I am so interested to see about what happens when she goes back to the land of her birth, and is she going to do what she was told, or is there going to be some conflict there? And let's not talk about the assassin that sounds badass. Want to know what's going to happen. Next, I have Spirits of Vengeance by Rob J. Hayes. This is a book in the Mortal Techniques standalone series. You can read them all by themselves, but I actually think I want to read the first two before I read this one, so I will have a little bit to go before I can get to this one. But it says, he'll die as many times as it takes. The Ippian Empire was once land that welcomed dragons and spirits alike, but a century of war and bloodshed saw them all but vanish. Now, the lost things are returning, and the Onro have gathered. 5 legendary spirits with mysterious powers bent on freeing an ancient evil that would wreak havoc on humanity. Haruto swore his soul to the god of death for the chance to hunt down the vengeful ghost of his wife. Now, in Myoji, he's tasked by the imperial throne to hunt down monsters and malicious spirits, but he knows not all spirits are evil and not all deserve the peace of the sword. Kira is a student at Heiwa, an academy for children with dangerous techniques, but she has a secret. She's not like the other students. When the school is attacked, she flees with one of the tutors, determined to hide both from those who would kill her and those who would use her. As a plague of spirits sweep across the land, the Onro leave a bloody trail for Haruto to follow, but who's hunting who? Like, I love the whole, like, spirits aspects. Like, it just sounds so good, and the cover is so great. Like, the first one is Never Die. And then I think Pawn's Gambit is the one before this one. So I definitely want to read those before this to kind of get into the world. And I'm just so excited to get to this one. Beautiful cover. Sounds amazing. Really excited for the spirits though. Next, I have The Seventh Cadence, Book 1 in the Continua Chronicles. An action-packed epic fantasy adventure perfect for fans of Brandon Sanderson, Brent Weeks, and Robert Jordan. After a supernatural and unforeseen calamity shatters the tentative alliance of the 5 realms, the Desseran Dominion has returned to take back their homeland and restore their oppressive regime. As the Dominion readies their troops for invasion, the fate of the entire world rests in the hands of a fugitive scientist, a powerful pacifist, and an unseasoned prince with little to guide them but their own ideals. With the freedom of a kingdom at risk, each must find their place in a world torn asunder. Sounds so good. The cover is beautiful. I love the cover blue. It's my favorite color. So this one just drew me in, and I honestly didn't care what it was about. I just want to read this book and like have this cover in my collection. Next, I have The Last Lumenian, which is a sci-fi fantasy and action adventure of the rebel princess named Lilia? I don't know. Most princesses need saving. This one will save you. She is a rebel. Lila is fighting for the refugees' freedom from oppression. The king, her father, lost touch with reality ever since Lila's mother died. Now everyone else is paying the price. The arrival of Callum, a powerful Terran general, complicates Lila's life. His presence leads to conflicted feelings and friction with Arov, a handsome pilot and fellow rebel. Her life is not what she imagined it to be, not by far. Meddling gods, love interests, and sudden magical abilities have no room in Lila's world, but that has become her new reality. No matter how hard she pushes them away, it's too late. They all seek to control her anyway. Now the era war between two ruling archgods forces Lila to act. Accept who she really is, magic and all. Find true love, fulfill her destiny, and by defeating the archgod of chaos and destruction before he finds her. The Last Lumenian. Sounds good. You know I like romance in some of my books. I know not all of them will have romance, and that's fine, but I always just love that little touch of romance, and this one sounds like it's going to be a fun, fast-paced action adventure, and I am here for it. Next, I have one that looks like it's going to be steampunky, and that is The Binding Tempest by Stephen Rudy. Heroes only get better with age. For 40 years after the Great War that overthrew an empire, a former war hero, Ilaria Moonstone, has discovered a new threat to the world she helped save. When the Peace King of the Free Cities goes missing, Ilaria uncovers a plot to overthrow the tenuous Republic. Fearing that a powerful being called a Sanguine Luminary has returned to claim the throne, Ilaria sends for help from old allies and expatriates scattered across the chaotic frontier. Three former war heroes, long past their prime and haunted by their past, are all that stands against a dark entity threatening the future. But trust between the aging veterans is not what it once was. I'm excited for this because it looks like steampunky, maybe some action going on in here. But like the fact that we're following older characters is so nice and refreshing to see, because in fantasy we don't always follow older characters, and I am just excited to see how this does older characters. Next, we have The Assassin of Grins and Secrets by K.E. Andrews. I think this is one that might be similar to like Throne of Glass, but I could be wrong. Once the infamous assassin who killed with a smile, Saren now waits for death in the fighting pits of the Harpy's chest. When the Crown Prince of Sardon, Ramses El Amiro Mulez, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, seeks her out with an offer of freedom if she serves as his guard. She must decide whether to work for those who ravage her homeland or die. Ramses wants to believe that the war his father started was justified, but he has heard rumors and seen a cruelty in his father that causes him to question everything he's been told. To find answers, he needs Saren. Uriah Stormhair, captain of Oyon's city guard, finds himself caught between his duty to the crown and his friendship with Ramses. His distrust for Ramses' new guard runs deep. As Uriah wrestles with guilt from his past, he must work alongside the dangerous assassin whose true motives are hidden underneath her scars and dark grins. In a land of hot sands and dying magic, Saren plays the game of secrets with Uriah and Ramses, knowing one wrong step could end her life. As the shadows of her past catch up with her, she has to choose between pursuing vengeance and protecting a secret only she knows. Ooh, I am so excited for this. It definitely does sound like it is inspired by Throne of Glass, maybe? I could be wrong, but it sounds similar. If you know, you know. Next, we have another one that I've already read, and that is The Courts of Fate and Fear by Elizabeth S. Trafalgar. And it says, perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas, Laura Thalassa, and Jennifer L. Armentrout. In Sertra, where the daughters of the king manipulate magic to see the future, Adeline is a princess without powers. With no magic, she is unable to fulfill the role she was born to, calling forth visions of enemy plans to help anticipate and prevent attacks on Sertra. With the threat of war from Prince Roan and of Lithia growing more dire by the day, Adeline is sent by her father on a desperate quest to find the fabled seer in the hopes that she can teach Adeline to use magic. Despite the danger, Adeline agrees to go. If she can find her magic, Sertra might stand a chance of defeating Lithia for good. She can finally prove to her family that she's not useless after all. But when Adeline's journey goes tragically wrong and she stumbles into the hands of the very enemies she hoped to defeat, they challenge her view of everything she had thought to be true, and Adeline finds herself falling in love with the prince she thought was determined to destroy her homeland. Roan isn't just breathtakingly handsome, he's also a considerate ruler and attentive lover, and he changes her views of everything she thought she knew. When Sir Tread mobilizes for war, Adeline must make the hardest choice of her life, siding with her family against the man she's come to love, or betraying the family she still yearns to belong to for a kingdom she's come to cherish. I'm not going to say anything else about it because I will have a review for that coming soon. Another book that I have already read is The Goddess of Nothing at All, Book 1 in the Unwritten Runes duology by Kat Rector. Perhaps you know the myths, furious benevolent gods, a tree that binds 9 realms, a hammer stronger than any weapon, and someday the end of everything, but few have heard of me. Looking back, it's easy to know what choices I might have made differently. At least it feels that way. I might have given up on my title, told my father he was useless, king of gods or no, and left Asgard. Made a life somewhere else. Maybe I would never have let Loki cross my path, never have fallen in love. But there's no going back. We were happy once, and the price for that happiness was the end of everything. So I will say that this has tons of LGBT plus rep in it. So if you're looking for self-pubbed fantasy that has LGBT rep in it, I highly recommend this book. It's according to Amazon, it's 607 pages, but I can't wait to let you guys know my thoughts on this one whenever I do a review of it. And last but not least, I have Burning Bright, Book 1 in the Extraordinaries by Melissa McShane. This one was my most recently added to this list, so I'm still not quite sure what it's about, but it sounded good from what I read earlier. Eleanor is an extraordinary and the only one in England capable of wielding fire in over 100 years. As an extraordinary, she is respected and feared, but to her father she represents power and prestige for himself. Mr. Pembroke, having spent his life studying magic, is determined to control Eleanor and her talent by forcing her to marry where he chooses, a marriage that will produce even more powerful offspring. Trapped between the choices of a loveless marriage or living penniless and dependent on her parents, Eleanor takes a third path. She defies tradition and society to join the Royal Navy. Assigned to serve under Captain Miles Ramsay aboard the frigate Athena, she turns her fiery talent on England's enemies, French privateers and vicious pirates preying on English ships in the Caribbean. At first she feared by her shipmates, a growing number of victories make her truly part of Athena's crew and bring her joy in her fire. But as her power grows and changes in unsuspecting ways, Eleanor's ability to control it is challenged. She may have the power to destroy her enemies utterly, but could it be at the cost of her own life? So good! I kind of hope it's like similar to Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin, but we'll see. So those were all 42 titles that I plan on reading from the 300 entries in the SPFBO round 8. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I'm cutting it off quickly, but my children just got home from the swimming pool and they're being loud. So hopefully y'all understand. I will leave the links down below that you can check out this stuff, and I will also try to remember to leave the one guy's thing down below that I saw him do a video similar to this. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to all these titles. Can't wait to read them. I will be doing dual reviews for every 2 books I read, so look out for those. So like this video down below if you liked it, comment letting me know if you are also keeping track of the SPFBO8, and subscribe if you want to. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until my next video, I will see you guys soon. Bye!